So the absolutely necessary supplies for collaging today, it is going to be glue or Mod Podge. I always say it wrong. So glue or Mod Podge, something of the sort. Parchment paper, not wax paper. So I just want to make that clear. Some actual paper. So this is what we're going to be putting everything on top of. So whatever paper you've got. We will need some napkins, and I have more off to the side. So if you're a messy person, I'm very messy when it comes to collaging. Anything really, lots of paper or paper napkins. Water, so you're gonna need your jar of water. Paints, paintbrush. So these are just the necessary things, and everything else is just filler, honestly. Actually, I want to add scissors to the necessary items list. So scissors. And I should specify with the paintbrush, this is actually for using with the glue. So if you are okay with this getting a little gunky or messy, then I would use whatever brush you're okay with getting a little bit messy. I don't think it will be ruined because I use this for glue and it's fine. But again, just to be on the safe side, I am gonna add your whatever it is you put the paint on top of. So I can put paint here, I can put glue here. If you have little cups, you can put the glue inside cups. That works too. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and do that right now. So it's a lot. Like honestly, the sky's the limit when it comes to collaging.
Can I use a glue stick?
I think a glue stick might not be strong enough. You could definitely try it, but I don't think it'll be strong enough. Only because we will be using a lot of the glue. And honestly, I'll probably pour out more glue than what you see here. I do have other things to pull out, but again, these are just the necessary items for today. Like I'll just list them off the top of my head. I have some markers here. I have watercolors. I have some old art projects that I'm not going to do anything with. Like a long time ago, I painted these little swirlies and these things, these flowers, and I'm not going to do anything with them. So I just cut them out. So old drawings that you have no use for. I have an old flower that I'm not going to use. Maybe I'll throw it in. I don't know. It's here. What else? I have this old drawing that I'm not going to do anything with. If you have any stencils, you can use some stencils or, something to make some paint shapes with. If you have anything interesting, like I have these little doilies that I never use, and they're paper thin, they're super thin, and I just thought they'd be really pretty to use today, so I'm probably going to throw these in. Random things. I don't know where these came from. Excuse the glare, but I'm gonna it's almost a mirror-like effect, and like I said, I don't know where I got them, but I have them. They have like a paper backing, so I can just glue them if I wanted to use them. Anything interesting. If you're going for a texture with your paint, I have, of course, a palette knife. I have a plastic fork. So a plastic fork, this is what I used to create this texture right here for the flower on this picture. Ta-da, like that. So just some ideas that I'm throwing out there. I have some yarn off to the side. Tissue paper. I have like actual tissue paper I can use. So here's some tissue paper. Now I'm going to leave that right there. So I don't need to put the tissue paper here just yet. So the things to think about when it comes to collaging are textures and layers. All right, textures and layers. You can have transparent things, you can have opaque things. So let's start with our very first. Well, I was going to start with any sort of lettering, but actually, I want to jump right into it with the parchment paper. And the reason I want to jump in with the parchment paper is because we're going to need to let it dry before we can do anything with it. So we're going to just jump right into it with the parchment paper, and we're going to create any sort of colorscape you can think of. I chose to have two different colors here, and I'm going to paint them onto my parchment paper. I wish I'd taken pictures of the very first piece that I created because it was huge. I covered up this entire thing with my colorscape. And then later on, I cut it into strips. And these are the strips that you see here. So let's get our paint things ready. I have my brush. I have my parchment paper, my palette, because again, we want this to dry. I have my napkins at the ready if I need them. And I'll just go ahead and pour out my paints right here. There we go. And I don't need a lot. At least I don't think I do. Maybe I'll add one more color. What should I add? I wanted to do some sort of springtime theme. So maybe, no, maybe a little turquoise. No, I always go for these colors. I'm just talking to myself at this point. Are there any questions from you guys?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. So just think about this idea of textures and layering, okay? We're going to be using lots of glue, so please have a lot on hand if you're able to. Glue, whether that be clear or like the white glue, Elmer's glue, or even Mod Podge. If you happen to use any Mod Podge, I could totally use it, but last time I tried to open it, I ended up spilling a whole bunch of Mod Podge on my carpet, so I'm not gonna do that yet. So we're gonna wanna create a colorscape, and how thickly you put the paint on here determines the opacity. So whether or not it's more translucent or not, more opaque or translucent. So I can go ahead and take a color here. And let's say maybe I want to make a gradient. I'm looking for my example that I had just a few minutes ago, but I think it fell. Oh, here it is. So again, this was a much larger picture. It was almost as big as this parchment paper here. For me, I decided I wanted to create a gradient. That doesn't mean that you have to though, okay? You definitely don't have to if you don't want to, but that's what I'm gonna do. So I started on one end by going up and down, very loose brush strokes. And in fact, because we're going for textural quality, I'm actually not going to clean up my brush strokes. You can see that there's gaps where you can see the parchment paper underneath that. I'm going to leave it. I'm just going to swipe and swipe and swipe. One direction, up and down, up and down. I'm not pressing down very hard, and I don't really have a whole lot of paint on my brush. And that's because I want that texture to come through. I want the parchment paper to come through. I want that textural quality. Now, I know I'm painting fast, but what you see here is me going more than halfway. Even though I have 3 colors, I'm going quite a bit further down than I would realistically need. And you can absolutely jump around too. Now here's something I hadn't done, but I want to see what happens when I add a little bit of water. The water, it helps to make your paint transparent. So I'm just going to see what it does, because this is what I do. I like to experiment. That's not bad. I can still see the parchment paper underneath it. Not bad. So that's what it does. You can still see the parchment paper underneath. When you're ready to move on to the next color, you can rinse your brush. Questions? Not yet. I'm sure there will be. All right, so I have rinsed my brush. I'm going to go ahead and wipe it on my little napkin over here. I'm so excited for this parchment paper.
Learning new technique.
Yay!
Yeah.
Good.
I
Glad
was
I
so
get to
curious
teach.
about that.
Yeah, with the parchment paper. Yeah, so this is just to create like any sort of textural color element. Okay, so now color number 2. What do we want to do? Maybe I'll get my pink. Pink's right here. So I'm gonna apply it the same way. However, if I want to create that same gradient that you see right here, I'm actually not going to overlap my blue just yet. So what I can do here for this gradient is I can go onto the parchment paper here, first to the parchment, and then I'm going to slowly make my way that way, using those same sort of textural brush strokes. Not very much paint. I can still see what's underneath, but just making my way that way. And by doing that, you're able to layer your brush strokes a little bit more evenly. Eventually, you're going to want to start to fade out your color. So I'm going to grab a little less paint so I don't have quite as much. Press down lightly, more lightly. Spread it a little further, press down more lightly, and eventually you'll be able to see the pink sort of let up. You won't be able to apply quite as much unless you really press down on it, like there. I really pressed down hard on that one. I'm going to go back and I'm going to kind of press down more lightly, back and forth. Press down lightly. There we go. I feel like I want to thicken up this area. I want it to be a little more solid. I'm just talking out loud at this point. Again, pressing down lightly is going to allow that texture to come through so that therefore you can see some of the parchment paper and any other colors you have underneath it. Once you're ready, you can start to move that way. So I'm going to pick up right where I left off. And I'm going to start to move this way just a little bit. I do have a third color to put in there, so I'm not going to go very far. And once again, we're doing this part right now because we want to give this wax paper plenty of time to dry. There we go. I think I'm good on pink. I have plenty of space for my third color. So third color is going to start over here in a minute. Right. And just to show you again, here is the gradient, just in case you need to see it again. Rinse your brush anytime you're ready. So you can go on into the third color. I forgot to mention earlier, other things you might want to include, just in case you have them. What is it? Sometimes these hobby stores, like they have stamping sets, so you can get some
Oh,
things
yeah.
to stamp your pictures. Yeah, and I don't have any of those, just because I've never bought any. Surprisingly, they look really cool sometimes.
Yeah.
So stamping. Sometimes you can get foam rollers, small foam rollers, maybe about
Yeah.
this thick or maybe a little bit thinner, and they have textures on them, so you can definitely use those to roll on your tissue paper or just roll directly onto your what is it, your picture, your collage. I think I forgot to show this earlier, but if you have stencils, you can use little stencils, and I'll probably throw this in there just to show you how to use something like this. I mentioned doilies, like I have these little things earlier. I tried to make a snowflake out of this little doily. Turned out okay. It's not the best. What else can I do? Crayon, like a wax resist crayon with watercolor. That would make a great base or even like a middle layer for your collages. And again, it's all about layering transparent things on top of opaque things or vice versa. Maybe even layering transparent things on top of opaque things. Oh yes, here I am, almost forgetting about my gold color. I'm going to add my third color. So once again, I'm going to do it on the parchment paper, sort of away from my second color. I'm going to make my way towards the second color. Again, pressing down lightly in some spots so that I can see what's underneath it. This gold is amazing. I'm so happy. I think this little bit of paint, it's not a pint, it's 4 ounces of paint. Cost me like $15, I think, but well worth it.
Why did you decide to put the gold, the most striking at the end?
I don't know. I think it's just to make this different. That's all. Because I had the gold in the middle on this one, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do something a little different.
Okay, that was a good answer.
It's the only answer. In fact, I think I even want to put some gold on this side because I'm curious to see what it looks like on top of the blue. Like just lightly. I love the way that looks. I'm picking up my brush in some spots so that it looks like it's not complete. Not a complete brush stroke. I'm happy with that. I do want a pretty solid bit of the gold over here. That's the thing with a lot of my pictures. I need room to play around with it. I don't always have an idea that I go and start with. A lot of it is playing around with it and seeing what happens, what looks good, and then developing something from there. All right. Now I'm going to rinse my brush. I'll give you guys a couple more minutes for that.
Hannah, can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah,
I just had a quick question. Is that just straight up paint on the parchment paper, or did you mix it with anything?
no mixing, just
Okay.
paint.
Perfect. It took me a little longer to gather my supplies.
Oh, you're fine. I threw a ton of supplies at you, so I understand. But yeah, this is just the parchment paper. And I don't know if you heard this or not, but the way I handled the brush strokes is that I would press down lightly in some areas just so I can see the parchment paper peeking through just a little bit in some spots. It's really hard to tell with the gold over here, but you can see a little bit of the parchment paper showing through. Now, if you wanted to later, I can show you how to cut it into strips. It's real easy, just cut it into strips. Just sort of think about what you want to do with it. Use the scissors, or you can even tear these strips apart. In the original picture, I tore these apart, and I wanted them to look uneven. That was the look that I was going for. This one, I just happened to have this little strip right here, so I just glued it on. No big deal. So while we're finishing up and while we're waiting for this to dry, I want to actually explain to you what's going on here. So I started off with my plain old sheet of paper right here. And in the beginning, I had decided that I wanted to sort of tear the edges because I didn't want it to look flat. That was just, I knew going into it, I didn't want it to look flat. And that's an option, okay? So if you wanted to do that, you can go ahead and do that right now. Just start tearing strips of paper from the top. However, I don't think it's necessary, especially if we are using this wax paper. And we have so many layers on top with the wax paper. I have tissue paper here. I don't think it's necessary, but you're welcome to do that right now if you'd like to. So what did I do first on my piece of paper? Where is it? Here it is. So what I had done is I wrote with a Sharpie, I wrote song lyrics on here. And that's an option. If you wanted to do that, we can go ahead and do that now. However, if you wanted to just write something very simple, perhaps the word love or something like it, happiness, a quote. If you want to do that, you can do that. I can't guarantee that it's going to show at all. And in fact, a lot of it's not going to show. And that's why it's absolutely okay if you wanted to write something a little bit more personal on it. I know that some people, when they journal, they want to get something that's been on their chest. You can do that, and it will be covered up later, so that you have it there. You've gotten it off of your chest, and you can cover it up with whatever you have on top of that. Almost like turning it around and making it into something different. So I can't guarantee you're going to have enough to write or enough time to write a whole journal entry, but it's an idea for a future project. So just to make things simple here, maybe I'll just do love. I don't know. February was what, 2 months ago? Close enough.
There's always room for love.
Exactly. Always room for love.
Sorry, you write with the marker, right?
Yes. Yeah. So these are just regular, what is it? Crayola markers. So
Okay.
regular markers. I'm just layering it. I can get my black Sharpie marker and do something with that too. Now, your writing might show up, it might not show up, and personally, I feel like that's part of the beauty of it. At least you'll have a little bit of background text. What else? Maybe I'll just do something simple. I'll just write it in black and then be done with it. Now, ideally, if this is really wet for you guys, don't write on top of the wax paper. Don't do what I did. There we have it. Another idea for you guys for a future project would be to possibly paint your background with some sort of watercolor paint. Now, I didn't want to do that today just because it's water, so it is going to take a little bit to dry. So I didn't want to quite do that, but you can see a little bit of purple in the background of this one. It's very light purple, but with this one, all I did was I wrote my song lyrics back here, and then I covered up in watercolor for this one. But again, not super important because I could have easily covered this part with more tissue paper. So, you know, it could be covered up and might not be. Just depends on what you do with it. Now, the idea that I had that I mentioned earlier was about tearing apart the edges. That was the optional part that I mentioned. I'm just going to tear one edge of my paper just so you guys will know what it looks like and how to do it. You don't have to do it though, because as you can see, a lot of this stuff is a lot of what's on the front is peeking out. So it's really not entirely necessary. But if you want to stay on the safe end, you can do that. So I'm taking a piece close to the edge and ripping it down as much as I can. Takes a little time. Have to go a little further in. I'm using my hand to brace it. This is where having that trash can next to you really comes in handy. I can just throw these little pieces into the trash can. So I have to grab a little bit more than what I would like, than what feels comfortable, but it is possible. Just tear it all the way down. It gives you a better grip this way. There you go. I think I'll leave mine like that. Except for the part where I want to make it a little bit more even up here. There we go. That's all I did. Tear that apart. Questions? All right. So again, we're thinking about layers. And what I can do right now is I can take tissue paper. This is an option. I can take tissue paper and I can start to glue the tissue paper on top of it. What else could I do? I'm actually just sort of throwing things out there because I'm not entirely sure. See, everybody here has different materials, right? No, like not everybody is going to have tissue paper next to them. Not everyone's going to have paint, what have you. So here's what I'll do. I'll give you guys an option. I'm going to show you guys how to put something transparent and perhaps how to put some paint textures on top of it. And we'll use that as a start, especially right now since we're waiting for the wax paper to dry just a little bit longer. I feel like mine is pretty dry, but I don't want to say anybody else's is dry, so we'll wait on that for a bit. But it's about playing around with it. It's about seeing what you want to add. I would say if you have solid things to glue, like here's something that's solid. This is a little, like a past drawing of mine. I would say this is pretty solid. I could glue it on top of whatever I have in the front, or I could start to glue it on now if I wanted to, and it'll show up, well, theoretically show up underneath my tissue paper. However, you can see right here that not too much of it is actually showing up. So take that into consideration when you're trying to figure out how to layer these things. So we can take this moment right now to sort of take our materials, see what we have, and layer it as is. I have this here that I thought might be kind of cool to add. But as you can see with the tissue paper, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. Not really. I can kind of see it underneath it, but not a whole lot. Just keep thinking about textures and layers. I have these little doilies that I mentioned earlier. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I'll put some doilies on top of it first. See what things look like on top of other things. I'm even going to take out that really pretty magenta tissue paper just to see what it looks like. Once I have a layer of something, whether it be doilies or whether it be the tissue paper, then I'll show you how to add the acrylic paint with different textures. Or would you guys prefer that I show you guys now? Only ask because I don't know if everybody else has tissue paper or not. I don't like the way that looks. Okay, so here's what I'll do. I'll put a little bit of tissue paper on there, and then I will add a acrylic paint layer to it. Let's see, maybe I'll just do that. So this is where I have my paintbrush to add my Elmer's glue. So I've already poured some of my glue into this little cup here, and this makes it extremely helpful when spreading large amounts of paint.
So the glue you dissolve with some water or just plain the glue?
No water, just glue.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing special. So I'm going to put that there. I could even go right on top of it. Because I did not use any permanent marker, you can see the glue is changing and sort of spreading the marker a little bit. Putting it underneath this tissue paper, and I'm putting it around the edges just to solidify it, keep it in place. I should have mentioned this earlier, but watch out for your table. I would definitely put something underneath it if you're worried about protecting your table, that is. Clearly, I am not, so I'm not going to put anything underneath. Here's something else you can do with your tissue paper. If you don't want it to be flat, you can crunch it up. Give it some texture. Maybe I can put it somewhere up here. somewhere up here, scrunch it up. I can, so it's already actually gluing to what I have underneath it right there. The key to gluing textural things is to use a lot of glue, whether that be underneath your textural thing or on top of your textural thing. You see all these folds here? I want to make sure I get plenty of glue inside there. This is probably something I'm going to show you how to do with your parchment paper tissue paper too. I've folded it. Maybe I want this to fold this way a bit. I'm just, no particular reason, I'm just doing it because I can. Or maybe it can be a heart. Make it into a heart. This is where it really gets messy. I'm scrunching up the edges here. This is turning into an ode to Valentine's Day. So I want to make sure I have plenty of glue underneath and on top of all of these folds. Underneath, put it underneath there, put it on top of there. This is another reason why I say we're really going to go through a lot of glue for this. I mentioned layering, or the possibility of layering opaque things on top of transparent things, or vice versa, layering transparent things on top of opaque things. And I'm absolutely going to be putting some paint on top of some of these things. So here is my little doily. Maybe I can put this doily somewhere up here. Maybe right here. Maybe sort of going off the edge there. Keep in mind that I have no clue what this is going to look like in the end. I have all my things. I know what I want to put it in, or I know what I want to put in there, but we're just going to see how it looks in the end. Now I'm making it go off the page just because I love that look. And I love that you can see some things underneath it. This is me putting a opaque thing on top of transparent things. For me personally, I'm noticing that this glue is taking away the sheen from my little doily here. So I'm going to be careful with that. That's just something that I notice for myself. It's always good to notice what you're doing with your pictures. Maybe I'll save the doily, another doily for later. Now I feel like my my parchment paper should be dry by now. Oh, here it is. The fan's blowing all of my things away. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and start to cut strips out of this. I decided earlier that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to cut some thin strips and I wanted to cut some thick strips. Figure out what you would like to do with that. They don't have to be strips. They can be different shapes if you'd like that. I could actually draw or cut out some heart shapes from here if I wanted to do that. What else could I do? Circles. I could do, if you have like one of those, oh, what is it? I have one around here somewhere. It's one of those devices that you press down after you put some paper underneath it, and it cuts out the shape of the paper, or a certain shape. Here it is. One of these things. So if you have one of these things to use, you can absolutely use one of these. You can cut out a heart shape. Oh no, it doesn't want to cut the wax paper. Man, it didn't want to cut the wax paper. Okay, so don't use one of those on the wax paper. I learned these things so that you guys don't have to do them. Okay, I'll stick to my original idea. I'm gonna set this aside. We'll cut some strips now. I could even go in and create some sort of weave with these strips too, especially since they're such thin ones. Maybe I'll do a couple of thicker ones, like that one. And I'll decide later if I want to cut them smaller or not. Anyone done anything interesting this week? Anything fun?
I was working with for the Mecena doing a big poster. So but it's in the Sena. So it's a wings, and they say about the Anna fire, blah blah blah. So that's very nice. But the project is in the Sena.
All right.
Big poster.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I got the pictures.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. That sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
Especially if it's bigger. Well, that sounds exciting.
Yeah.
I got to see family yesterday for Easter. We had a barbecue. What else did we do? Ate a lot of food. Hid some Easter eggs. That was my favorite part. I loved hiding the Easter eggs.
Oh yeah.
If I can't find them, I'm gonna hide them. So let's see, maybe I can stretch my little pieces across here. I'll probably come in with some more tissue paper. And because I've left some of those transparent areas where I still see the parchment paper underneath it, I can see the doily underneath it, and I can see the color of the fuchsia sticking out. But where it's more solid, meaning where I have more of the, where I have more of the solid little bits of paint, that's where I don't really see anything underneath it. Let's see. I think that maybe before I do too much more gluing, I think that I would love to show you guys how you can use acrylic paint. Particularly how you can create this little flower. So again, this is an optional thing, but because I have it on the original picture, I wanted to show you how I created this little thing. So it's supposed to be a flower, but just a quarter of a flower. And I created this texture that you see here. It's very, very vague, very abstract petals that you see. And I scraped the fork along in a radiating pattern. And then afterward, I went on top of it with my paintbrush to create the center of the flower. And it just sticks out in the middle there. So maybe because I have, here's what I'll do. I'll glue this part on here, and then I'll have my flowers sticking up, radiating out from the bottom, from down here. I'm just coming up with this as I go. Like I said, I did not have a plan for it. I just know that we have a lot of layers to do, and I wanted to show you how to do it. So I have the last of my glue. And apply it to the back. Flip it over. Move it down. Just for good measure, I'm going to go ahead and glue the sides. Not a whole lot though, because it's kind of getting rid of some of that sheen. There we go. Now I'll come back to these a little bit. Okay, so if you are maybe in a pause with your glue brush, maybe you'll come back to it later, but you're not going to use it now, like me. You can always put it inside your water jar. So it's just Elmer's glue. Elmer's glue is water-based, so it's perfectly safe in the water. Okay, so I want to get my, here it is, my paper plate. And because I'm going to start with the petals first, I'm going to get my petal color. So for me, that's white. And I think I might want to add maybe a little bit of, not gold, but maybe some yellow. And I'm just making this up as I go. And because I'm using a fork, it's actually a good thing that I'm using something that has a wide surface area, because it makes it more easy to grab the paint. This is my plastic fork. And I want to make sure I have a lot of paint. See that? Plenty of paint there. And I am going to have to keep refilling too. Now, I know that these brush strokes, or I'm sorry, these petals are going to have to radiate outward. So I'm just going to think about that as I move along and do this texture. I'm scraping downward like that. You can always make them a little bit taller if you need to. I'm radiating them outward, dragging them downward. I'm going to refill often. Maybe later on I'll turn it around and maybe I'll do another one on that side.
Well, believe it or not, Hannah, I'm making a collage. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Wow. Wait, how? What are you doing?
Well,
Like, what are you
know,
doing?
I'm just trying these like different tools and I'm going, I don't understand how this is working. I mean, it's not going to come
Yeah.
out like yours, but I woke up. I had hope that how you could.
I love. That makes me excited to see it.
I think the
I
fear
really.
of like, oh my God, I can't really do this. It's
Yeah,
really
you
weird. I
know.
have no idea what I'm doing. Like sometimes it's just adding things that I didn't know
Yeah.
how or why.
Yeah, I mean, that's good though. Like I think it's really good to just play with things. And that's always one thing that I hope people take away from some of my classes, that you can always play with these things and figure out if you like it or not, and maybe do another thing if if you want to later. But just go at it without any expectations, I think, which I think is what you're doing.
Yeah, like I listen to you and I go, okay, I have no expectation.
I love it.
Okay, I could show you where I'm because I still can't figure out how I layer it. What
Yeah.
what it is. Can I show you what I got so far?
Yeah, go ahead. Let me just say that because I've added all of my little petals, my brush strokes, I'm gonna leave it alone before I put the middle in there. So I'm even gonna leave it alone before I put my second color in there. So this is perfect timing, Karen. Let me. Oops.
I just wish I knew. I wish I knew what I was doing. It's just weird. You know, you teach me to be fearless.
Good. Yay.
Oh, not even on. Yeah, I don't know if you could see all the subtleties, but
There we go. That explains why I couldn't spotlight you for a moment there.
like I don't know
There
where
you
those little squares
go.
are coming from.
I love it. I see the layers though. Oh, and I love the blocks that you put there.
Well, that's the part I've been playing with, and I go, I don't understand why it does it. Like I can take like a thing and I can turn it, and it says copy it, so I copy it, and then sometimes it
Yeah.
leaves a blank spot, and then sometimes it just like those white lines, and then sometimes it shows up, and I go, I don't know, I don't understand what it's doing, but I don't know what to do next.
Man, I like it so much. What if you were able to make more of those blocks, but maybe bigger? Because the only reason I say bigger is because I see lots of small things. So if you were to add maybe one or two things that were bigger, whether that be a block, whether that be more words, but bigger, maybe more music notes, but bigger, maybe. What else could you do?
I also don't know how the square. I don't understand how it's work. You see, like over. You see over there.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's what it does. But it says cut, copy,
Oh,
delete. But there's no paste. So I don't know. I don't know.
there's no, what if, huh? So then remind me again how you went about putting the other squares into there?
I don't know. That's the funny thing. I just don't know. That's why I thought, okay, I'll just show you where it's going, and then I'll just try the next thing.
What I think what's happening is that it's all those white squares, I think that it's actually highlighting something else. So it could be highlighting another square so that you can easily tell it what to do. You can tell it to delete it or copy it or whatever.
I'm gonna try.
So yeah, I think that if you were to press copy, you could paste it on a blank spot, like some other spot, a blank spot somewhere. Here's a little
At
warning
least
for you
I'm
guys.
doing it, right? No.
Yeah, I'm proud of you. You're doing it. Yay. Can't wait to see other people's pictures too. Beware if you happen to be on or doing everything on a surface that you can easily glue, like maybe glue your picture to on accident, just be careful with it. Okay, so I'm not done with my little flower down here. I mentioned that I wanted to add a little bit of yellow to it. So I'm gonna do that. It's had a couple minutes to dry. So same technique and everything. Now I don't need as much of the paint, so I didn't really pour out as much. I'm gonna go in there. I want a lot on my fork. And I'm gonna decide where I want to put these marks. I feel like I actually want them on the bottom here so I can scrape them starting down here. Shorter brush strokes because there's shorter amount of space. And then again, I'm going to let it dry before I put the middle portion. It's going to be this portion right here. So I can just leave my little fork in the water unless I'm going to actually like do this portion somewhere else. But I'll figure that out later. I definitely want to go in there and put these strips of paper in other spots. And because this is still pretty wet right here, I'm not going to do that thing where I turned over the strip of paper to put glue on the back side. I have my brush. There's still lots of glue on it. I'm just going to dry it off before I use it again. Now I need to refill my little cup here. Something that was pretty unexpected. I did not expect to see this at all. But the glue, whenever it went over my fuchsia lines right here, it turned it, it made it into a hot pink color. So I have a happy little accident right there. A little hot pink. I love that. Okay. So I know already that I'm going to put my little strip of paper all the way across. So I'm just going to put the paint like this all the way across. And then place this little guy down. I love that I can still see some of the lettering on this side. Still see that underneath. Let's squish that down. Maybe I can even add this one. Maybe this can go kind of like this on top. I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud is what I'm doing. There we go. And again, this was something that I cut out from a previous project. I wasn't going to do anything else with it, so I just cut it out. I have a whole technique in which I in which I approach things that I cut out. So I can show you what that technique is if you guys want to see it. There we go. Maybe I'll add something else to it. I don't know, maybe these shiny things. What can I do with it though? It's really dusty because it's just been sitting there collecting dust. I never know what to do with it. Ooh, so this weekend I finally finished one of my big plexiglass artworks. So now I just need to take pictures of it.
How big?
Maybe it's maybe 2 feet by 3 feet, something like that. I'm still working on the biggest one, which is about 4 feet by 4 feet. But that one's a whole lot more complicated than the one I just finished on last Monday. But still, you know, it's progress. Considering that I hadn't actually finished any plexiglass piece in a long time. Pretty excited for it.
So what type of design was it? Did you have a design in mind, or was it like abstract?
Yeah, it's a little bit of abstract mixed in with it's like flower drawings.
Oh,
Yeah, like I took a clear piece of plexiglass
mhm,
and I painted oil paints on top of it. Well, actually, I drew the pictures of the flowers first, and
mhm.
then I put the oil paints on top of that. And so I was painting on the back side so that I flipped it over and it looks different from the front.
Oh,
So you're painting transparent layers of paint. And I have to wait about a day for these layers to dry,
mhm.
but it's so worth it. Like so worth the effort and the wait time, everything. So
No.
yeah, if I get a chance, I'll look for pictures to show you.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah, yeah, I love painting on plexiglass because it
Mhm.
as frustrating as it can be because I'm painting backwards and in some cases I'm also painting upside down.
Oh,
It's like it's fun. Like it's a little brain exercise if you want to call it that. Puzzle.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah, super fun.
Standing on your head.
What was that?
You're standing on your head, you're painting upside down.
Yeah, it's true though. It's so true though.
Mhm.
Like I think I took a picture or I made a video or something the other day about the process. I was gonna post it on Instagram soon, but the process of like what it takes to like, because it's huge, like the 4-foot painting, that one's heavy, and plexiglass, it's also pretty fragile too. So I want to be like really careful with what I'm with every move that I make regarding the plexiglass.
Right.
So it's a process of like looking at it for like 10 to 20 minutes and then taking it back down and then doing little brush strokes here and there, like little bits here and there. And then
Wow.
not doing anything afterwards because I really can't. Because it's, you don't want to lift it.
Yeah.
It's I love the process though, I really do.
I know it looks really good afterwards.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Hmm.
I cannot wait to show everyone the finished products of those.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let some of this dry. While I'm doing that, maybe I can find a picture on here just so you guys can actually see what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
Because it can be a little bit hard to imagine if you've never seen like a clear painting before. Oops.
Hmm.
I had to download it off of iCloud real quick, but worked out. Has anyone else done any painting? Anything?
I did some crafting.
Ooh, crafting. Yeah. What'd
Yeah,
you do?
I was trying to clear off my counter, so I made make these ornaments for like my nieces and nephews. So my nephew plays volleyball, and so he's graduating with his master's degree in spring. So for his part of his graduation, it's like a little cookie cutter that I put felt on the back of. So I made that one, and then
Cute.
he actually plays professionally now. So so I made him one for his professional team, which he'll get for Christmas.
That's
And then
cute.
for my neighbor, I made her a Vegas Golden Knights one.
Did you say you made it out of felt?
Yeah, so like yeah, just felt
Oh,
you just have to cut it. And I've come to
That's really
um
cool.
thanks.
yeah.
I've come to the place where like so these took me like the first time I just got the cookie cutters out and I picked out the color of felts and then I set them aside. And then like the next time I looked at them, I'm like, oh, I'll let me just cut some of them out. So I cut out all the pieces, like the numbers and the little pieces and everything. It's you can see it. It's
Oh,
like they're stacked on top of each other.
oh, I see it. That's
And so
really tedious.
it
Wow.
is. So I cut out the pieces and then I just let it sit there for like a couple months. And then finally today, this morning, I'm like, I just really would like those off my counter. So
So you did it.
so I did it. I glued all the pieces on, and now I can put 2 away for Christmas for next year, and the one will go in a gift bag for next month. So
That blows my mind that you have a couple Christmas presents ready for next year. I love that.
I feel like I don't ever stop thinking about Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's my favorite holiday.
love that. You know what? I think my mom, now I think about it, I think my mom just took her Christmas tree down in March. Yeah. She had decorated it with Valentine's Day stuff.
Mhm.
And so she kept it up and I think she just took it down like a few weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she loves Christmas too, obviously.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, so I'm looking for sure. Oh yes, for anybody new here, I also teach a virtual class online that's totally free. open to people who have MS, but also other things as well. So caregivers, cancer, depression, really just anyone who needs art. That's like, it's really like a catch-all kind of thing. I'm teaching a class where we're going to paint mountains on April 20th. So if you're interested in that, you're more than welcome to join.
Oh,
And see,
yes.
yeah, Sierra, I don't know. I didn't remember if I had invited you before, so
Oh
um,
no, I would love to come. I would love
yeah,
to be a part of it.
let me
Art
find you the link. Yeah, we'd love to have you join. Let me put the link in the description.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you can stop spotlighting me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Barbara. You're
We're
right
all
there.
looking at you. We're not looking at our paintings.
Yeah.
Okay, so for this free art class, it's from an organization called ANCAN, and they do have a MS support group where I used to be the one of the moderators there. I haven't been in a while, so it's been a while since I've been there, but amazing group of people. If you ever need to stop by and chat about MS or anything else that's on your mind, you can go there too. But that's the registration just for the class though. And you don't need to be a member of the support group to join that. Like you can just sign up for the art class, and if that's all you want, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get it? Did you see it?
Yes, I've seen it and I saved it in my notes.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. I've been
Yeah.
living with MS for 7 years. I have relapse and remitting multiple sclerosis, and I know art therapy was like a big part of my healing. I do a lot of coloring. So like I do like the adult coloring books, and I sing this course on Instagram, and I'm like, I have to take it. And so I missed the last few classes and I hated it. I'm like, oh my God, I can't make it. But I'm just so glad I was able to join again tonight. And thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really glad you're here. I'm glad that art has helped you in your journey. What kinds of things do you like to color? I'm just curious.
I like to color kind of like it's like those shapes and patterns. I don't know what they're
Yeah.
called.
Are they mandalas? Like
Yes.
intricate stuff? Yeah. I love
That
those.
stuff. And I have a few. I actually did like a whole session of me coloring, and I posted it online. It was so relaxing, and
Nice.
few likes from it.
Did you well did you go go live just to color?
I
Is that
didn't
what
go
you meant?
live. I actually pre-recorded it because I wasn't too sure how it would turn out.
Yeah.
But it turned out really good, and I'm the type of
Nice.
person, I love colors, so I'm like, let me just go for it. And I use all kinds of colors, and it was just amazing.
Nice. I love it. I love that art's been part of your journey. It's so important to just like do something that will ground you and something that just makes you happy. You know,
Absolutely.
whether it's art or not. Like I'm not offended if you're not like an art person. As
Well,
long as it's like something that makes you happy. I think it's especially important whenever you have some sort of chronic illness.
But I'm not an
So
art person, and look what you've done.
you've come a long way. You've really come a long way. For sure.
This thing
I
is coming out crazy.
Yeah, I love
I don't
it.
know. I don't understand how it works.
But something's happening.
Something's happening, and I just don't understand how it works.
I love it.
Kind of funny.
I have to do something up here, I think. I don't know. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna cover all this. Oh, and by the way, I found some video of the artwork that I finished on Monday. So I have to like cut a little like a screenshot to show you guys.
Mhm.
But it's there. Promise. Just found it. Okay. I'm gonna let that dry. And now I can go and look. See if I can cut that screenshot to show you. I'm so bad at documenting my artwork. And I know that like I shouldn't be, right? Like I should just set up like a tripod or something. But no. I also get really nervous too when people watch me. I mean, not in this capacity, but I don't know. I just do.
Can I show you what's happening so you can maybe give me another idea?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Karen, I'm gonna look for here you are. I'm gonna spotlight you. All right.
I just started to add a little watercolor because I don't understand why these little squares are moving around.
I love it. Oh, I think I know what's happening. I think you're cutting
I mean,
your picture.
yeah, at a certain point, I think I'm cutting the picture up, but I'm not, and then I'm moving.
Yeah.
It. Then I added over, I don't know, where's my finger? Over here, I just started to do watercolor because I had a white spot and I didn't like it. I may undo that. But I like it, right? It's fun.
It looks really fun. Are you sure you've never done that before? That looks intentional.
No, I don't
It
know.
looks.
I think I might get rid of that corner over here because I'm not. I don't know that added anything.
Would you maybe cut some more of it out?
Yeah, I could, but you see how I added. See how that corner just has like it's a watercolor, so it's a little blotchy. I think. Well, it doesn't always
Is it?
when I ask it to. You know, that's the thing. I don't. It just doesn't necessarily cut out. It doesn't necessarily copy or paste what I ask it to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if I should add another element or I should just stay with this kind of a theme so I don't ruin it.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like if you were to add the watercolor, I am curious to see what it would do to everything underneath it, or whether or not it would move some elements around.
No, it wouldn't.
No.
It would. That's funny. I'm gonna undo because then I could show you what happened.
I do love that though. I think you did great with that. Happy accidents.
I can always put it back. See, I just undid. And so it was just feeling out of balance, that corner.
Oh, I like that. I like what you did actually. I think that did a lot to it.
Well, I
somehow.
undid what I did because I didn't like the.
Oh,
I didn't do a lot of undo, but now I intentionally.
Yeah.
do. And I go, okay, let's just see what this is gonna do. Yeah, because see the red. Yeah, I guess I got orange between the red and the green. Yeah, I like it better like that.
Yeah, good call. That was a good call.
Well, you're almost close to the end. Like I probably didn't even do too much. I should probably.
So I want to show y'all the last little bit for this flower, where I'm just going to take my paint and my paintbrush actually, and I'll show you what I mean when I say that I'm going to make the center. So I'm actually just having to clean the brush off from the glue. There's a lot of glue in there. Same glue brush that I've been using. And I'm gonna take whatever color I want to use for the center. So I have this sort of blue color here, so I may as well use it. And I'm going to be going right on top of the edges of the bottom of these brush strokes that I did, like this. Basically cleaning it up. And it is that simple. It's really that simple. Make a little half circle down there and I'm good. Now, we could be working on these for hours, right? However, I have a dinner time, so here's what I'll do. I will give you guys another minute or two just to kind of clean things up. But you don't have to be finished with it. You definitely don't have to be finished. Like I said, keep on working on it. If that's what you really want to do. I think that I might actually still work on this because I know that there's more that I can do down here. I know that I have more of these little cutouts, these circular cutouts. I showed you the doilies. I don't know, maybe I will add this doily here. Maybe that will be the last thing I do, is just to add the doily down here. And then just sort of tear it off at the end, at the edge here. But let me just show you real quick what I was working on last time. And then that'll be that. Can y'all see it?
Oh, wow.
It's clear. It's clear. So you're seeing the other picture. You're
Yeah.
seeing the other picture underneath
Pretty.
it. So like
Yeah.
if I were to scroll through, you can see more of it.
Wow. Man, that takes a lot of time and detail. That is really pretty.
Thank you. I highly encourage you to just like play with different textures and different, surfaces. Like that's how I got into it. I just wanted to do something other than paper. So I did
Right.
plexiglass. So, just happened.
Wow.
So
That's
yay,
amazing.
thank you guys. I'm always so happy to like show my work to you. Seriously.
We enjoy
Yay.
it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the 2 foot by 3 foot piece. Yeah,
I think
so,
I'm
yeah.
done. I'm finished now.
Oh yes, Merle, I'm gonna spotlight you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Hey, you have a doily too.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
It's
What do you
cute.
have
Love
on the
that.
background? Yeah, is that like a tissue paper that I see on the background? The
Yes,
red?
the tissue paper that they have some designs.
Oh, that's pretty.
Oh,
That's really
thank you.
pretty. And I like
Thank
that you put the strip of the wax paper underneath the doily. I just like that effect.
Oh, yeah.
It looks
Yeah.
good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for
I
sharing. I
tried
love
to
it.
create the flowers. So.
Oh, are those tissue paper flowers?
Yes. Also, that
Oh,
one with the fork. Yeah.
oh yeah, but I was looking at the pink flowers you have on the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
Those are nice. Those are really well made.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
I
those are
really enjoy
good.
it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, see you next Monday.
Yep. See you soon.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Merle. Thank
Bye.
you.
Good night.
Good night. Anyone else want to share?
I can share. I went in a totally different direction, kind of in the same vein. I like the song lyric thing that you were talking about. So
Oh
I
yeah,
did
yeah.
Love is All Around Us. And then when I went to go get my tissue paper out, my feathers fell out.
Oh, your
And I'm like, I
feathers.
bet you I can use feathers. So so I did a feather flower and then a feather flower and a feather flower. And then I had a doily too, just a little heart one, and I kind of stamped it around and
Really
so
cute. Yeah, that's really cute. I love the idea of using the feathers to create the flower. I think that's really creative. I
this was a
love
lot of
it.
fun.
Yeah, yeah. It's just, you know, this was a lot of fun. Awesome. Thank you, Barbara. Good night. Who else? Who else? You don't have to share. Just want to throw that out there. You don't have to share, but we'd love to see it if you want to.
Anna, just give me one more. I think it's done. Almost done. I need one more color. You're gonna like what
One
I need more one thing to balance the green, and I'm like, what's a, a good opposite color? You kind of
Hmm.
ideas.
Let me spotlight you real quick. There you are. So
See,
the
that's
opposite
the
of a
contrasting
green.
color of the
What can you use? Maybe, honestly, I feel like turquoise comes to mind. Teal
even
or turquoise comes
even
to
though I sort
mind.
of have a turquoisey thing in the middle for the orange, doesn't necessarily ruin it.
I think it's a little hard to see, honestly. Um,
Now,
okay, yeah, the turquoise. Do you mean with the writing where it says
no, you
seam?
see how I added yellow to the purple and turquoisey to
Yeah.
the orange, and then I'm like, well, what do I add to the green?
Yeah, okay, I see that now. So
I'm almost thinking, what?
maybe like what would you call it? Like a fuchsia almost? Like maybe almost this kind of fuchsia, but not as bright.
Oh, maybe. I'm almost like going, maybe what if I just use that same yellow that I did in the purple? But I like the idea of it.
Mm. I feel like it would make it stand out quite a lot.
Yeah, and it'll balance the okay. I'm glad I didn't do too much other media, like I stuck with the watercolor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how I got that idea of the color, but I listened to you. Like without listening, You're like, why don't you? And I'm like, oh, I know, she'll like this. I'll add yellow. Yeah, like I can't do it on my own. I have to go, Anna will like this.
It's so funny because like I feel like I have a color scheme that I tend to just love, and I feel like you do it a lot. Like you do the color scheme that just looks really nice to me personally. So you know
Well,
what you're
it really
doing.
helps to have. My hair guy. He's an artist, and he's like, you
Mm.
did that. He loved the moon, but he said, but your colors, and I'm like, well, I'm cheating on the colors. I got the palette, which is fine because I deserve a crutch,
It works. It works.
Of course, now I have to make
Um,
because I don't have it. All right.
anyone else like to share? Okay.
I could share, Hannah.
Yeah, yeah, Anna Marie, let me spotlight you.
If I can just pull
Okay,
this off the board.
do it.
I got a little too busy on one side. That I don't really like.
Oh, that's nice. Wow, and you added like I like that you added little clippings from other drawings. That's pretty. You have like I see flowers on the top part there. Did you paint those flowers in?
These here?
Yeah, yeah, those.
No, those
Those
are
are nice.
napkins, actually.
Oh, no way.
And I glued them down. I tore a layer off and then I glued them down.
Those are nice. I
Thanks.
just love that I'm seeing a lot of layering, like a lot of transparent things coming through. And then of course, the opaque things, your drawings right there on top. I like it.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Thanks.
Yay. I just love seeing all this. Maybe we should do another collage project in the future. This would be fun. All right. Sierra, would you like to share?
Yes, I don't know what I had going on here, but I tried.
Yeah,
So,
let me find you.
hmm,
There
so
you
it's
are.
like a little tie-dye thing. I don't know what I had going on. I put one of the things that I say, like, be your best self with MS advocacy. And
Yeah.
I'm not too sure what happened. I have watercolors because I didn't have the acrylic paint, but yeah.
Yeah.
This
It
is
worked out really
definitely
well though.
abstract.
I'm amazed at how what's the word? How opaque it is because it's watercolor.
Hmm.
That's not what I was expecting. But I like it. I like the way it turned out, and I like the colors that you chose too. And I do see that your words sort of sunk into the background a little bit,
Hmm.
but I feel like if you really wanted to, you could wait for it to dry and
Hmm.
then see if you can bring them back. See if you can rewrite them again in the same spots.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
If you wanted to do that.
Okay.
Um,
Definitely.
yeah, but that's good. I like it and I love the silver. Um, is the
It was some.
silver? Oh, okay. I was wondering what that was because from afar it looked like a masking tape, but
Oh
like I was
yes.
like, hold on a second.
And also the yellow is tissue paper as well. And then
Okay.
I have some white tissue paper that's mixed in, and like on the end, I had to, use my fingers a little bit, but I like with the red and with the orange and stuff, I just,
Hmm.
tied that into it.
Yeah, yeah, ties in with MS and everything. I feel
Hmm.
like your color scheme is very similar to the butterflies you have in the background too.
Oh yes, I love my.
Yeah,
I love it.
I love it. Thank you for sharing,
Look, it
Sierra.
looks like a
Thank
flag,
you so much.
it looks like a
Yay.
flag too, because there's that little corner.
Oh
Oh
yes.
yeah, I could see it. I could see that.
Thank y'all. I hope y'all have a good night.
Yeah, you too. You take
Thank
care,
you.
okay?
Thank you. You too. Okay. Bye.
Yeah.